Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. 38th favorite dad in the family community, Papa West, Jacob West, here for another exciting episode of TMG Takes the Field, our weekly show where we talk about sports, mainly the NFL and college football. Um, Mainly. Sometimes we throw a little bit of baseball, basketball in there. Sometimes we talk about soccer. That's happened a couple times too. Um, but no soccer today, no baseball, no basketball, just football today. It's gonna be a normal show. Um, First, we are gonna talk about college football because we always start with college football. Our Heisman Trophy winner has been announced. We had our our five finalists. Um, I'll go ahead and say them in order of how they did, from worst to best. So in fifth place in voting was Arizona State running back Cam Scatabo. Fourth place, Miami quarterback Cam Ward. Third place, Oregon quarterback Dylan Gabriel. Second place, Boise State running back Ashton Genty. And in first place, winning the Heisman Trophy for the 2024 college football season, Travis Hunter, the wide receiver slash cornerback from Colorado. This is the second time a defensive player has won the Heisman Trophy, but granted, not just defense, he did play both sides of the field, which is probably one of the reasons why there's been a lot of hate going around, saying that's the only reason why, because he had a very mediocre wide receiver year and a very mediocre cornerback year. People who say that are haters because he actually did have I wouldn't say the best wide receiver year, but top three. And I'd say probably top five in quarterback years too. Very productive year for Colorado. Helped them with a very fun finish to the year, getting very close to getting them into the Big 12 championship, which probably would have gotten them into the college football playoffs. So very good season. Congratulations, Travis Hunter, for winning the Heisman Trophy. Uh, the the 10 finalists, they don't only have 10, but how voting went. In sixth place went Army quarterback Bryson Daly. Seventh place, Penn State quarterback Tyler Warren. Eighth place, Colorado quarterback Shador Sanders. Ninth place, Indiana quarterback Curtis Rourke. And in 10th place, Syracuse quarterback Kyle McCord, who had 9 votes. I'm sure only by people who went to Syracuse because he had a really bad year. So not sure how he got that many votes, but hey, he got that many votes. Um, so as far as games that happened this last week, we had a couple. We did have our big Army Navy game. Lot of speculation with this kind of in the middle of the season. Is this going to be two teams in the playoffs? Is this going to be a rematch of the American Championship? It wasn't, but it was still really fun. This year, Navy did get the win, winning 31-13 over Army. And then we did have some bowl games. We had three. So the first one, the Salute to Veterans Bowl, South Alabama beat Western Michigan 30-23. And then in the Cricket Celebration Bowl, Jackson State beat South Carolina State 28-7. Tuesday, we had the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl. Memphis beat West Virginia 42-37. And then today, breaking news, the Boca Raton Bowl, James Madison beat Western Kentucky 27-17. Now, we do have going on right now the Art of Sport LA Bowl. UNLV is beating California 14-10, but Cal has the ball with 5 minutes left in the second quarter, in the first half. And then remaining bowl games, because I'll go ahead and talk about all the bowl games, excluding the playoffs. We'll talk about the playoffs in a second. We have the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl happening Thursday, tomorrow. Georgia Southern's taking on Sam Houston. Friday, we have the Staff DNA Cure Bowl. Ohio's taking on Jacksonville State. Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl. Tulane's taking on Florida. That's college football playoffs. We have the Myrtle Beach Bowl. Coastal Carolina is taking on the University of Texas in San Antonio. The famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Fresno State's taking on Northern Illinois. The Hawaii Bowl. South Florida's taking on San Jose State. The Game Above Sports Bowl. Pittsburgh's taking on Toledo. The Rate Bowl. Rutgers is taking on Kansas State. The 68 Ventures Bowl. Arkansas State's taking on Bowling Green. The Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl. Oklahoma's taking on Navy. The Birmingham Bowl. Georgia Tech is taking on Vanderbilt. The AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Texas Tech's taking on Arkansas. The DirecTV Holiday Bowl. Syracuse is taking on Washington State. The SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl. USC is taking on Texas A&M. The Isleta New Mexico Bowl. Louisiana is taking on TCU. The Wasabi Fenway Bowl. UConn's taking on North Carolina. The Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl. Boston College is taking on Nebraska. The Pop-Tarts Bowl. Iowa State's taking on Miami. The Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl. Miami of Ohio is taking on Colorado State. The Go Bowling Military Bowl. East Carolina is taking on NC State. The Valero Alamo Bowl. BYU is taking on Colorado. That's interesting. This is legit the first time I'm reading this. Two Big Ten teams playing each other, or Big 12 teams playing each other in a bowl game. I don't think I've ever seen two conference teams that didn't play each other. Just adding even more to it. The Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl. Louisiana Tech is taking on Army. The TransPerfect Music Bowl. Iowa's taking on Missouri. The ReliaQuest Bowl. Alabama's taking on Michigan. That's a downgrade. Alabama, the first out of the playoffs, taking on Michigan. The Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. Louisville's taking on Washington. The Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. Illinois is taking on South Carolina. The Kinder's Texas Bowl. Baylor's taking on LSU. The Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. Duke is taking on Ole Miss. The Surf Pro First Responders Bowl. North Texas is taking on Texas State. The Duke's Mayo Bowl. Minnesota is taking on Virginia Tech. The Bahamas Bowl, presented by Atlantis Resorts. Buffalo's taking on Liberty. And then we have the college football playoffs, which starts Friday. We have Notre Dame is taking on Indiana. And then on Saturday, Penn State's taking on SMU. Texas is taking on Clemson. And Ohio State is taking on Tennessee. Then we obviously have the semifinals after that, but we will talk about those next week. Some very exciting games. Obviously, the Indiana Notre Dame game, the fight for Indiana, as people are calling it. SMU Penn State. I think it's going to be closer than people say. People are just giving it to SMU right now, or Penn State right now, saying SMU doesn't have a chance. SMU has a nice little fighting spirit to them. I do think Penn State wins, but I think it's going to be close. Clemson, Texas, that's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a Texas State Championship rematch as Quinn Ewers famously going to South Lake Carroll, then Cade Klubnik going to Austin Westlake High School. They played each other for the state championship. I believe South Lake Carroll won. I could be wrong on that. So a little rematch there. Tennessee and Ohio State. This is the fun, exciting SEC versus Big Ten matchup. That's just gonna be a fun game to watch. And then obviously, winners move on and play better teams. We do have the transfer portal. Transfer portal opened up, and I had something on here that was kind of like a transfer portal tracker. And so I just have to find another one and pull it up because I can't find the one that I was using. But we have had quite a bit of movement on the transfer portal. Again, this is giving players the ability to switch from one school to the other, which I thought was a very, very good thing for college football. So we had Louisiana Monroe running back Ahmad Hardy transferring to Missouri. Grambling linebacker Andrew Jones is going to South Carolina. Clemson safety Sherrod Coville Jr. is transferring to Virginia Tech. Did have some quarterbacks on the move. Probably most people say the number one player in the transfer portal, Washington State quarterback John Mateer, has committed to Oklahoma. All right. And then I know Penn State backup quarterback Bo Purdue, he is transferring. I don't think he is actually signed, but there's big news with that because he cannot play in the playoffs with Penn State, and he actually did have quite a bit of snaps with Penn State this year. There we go. So yeah, Oklahoma's getting John Mateer. Duke is getting Tulane quarterback Darian Mensah. Colorado is getting Alabama defensive tackle Jaheim Otis. LSU is getting Kentucky wide receiver Berrien Brown. LSU is also getting Virginia Tech cornerback Monsieur Delane. LSU is also getting Oklahoma wide receiver Nick Anderson. Nebraska is getting Missouri defensive end Williams Nwaneri. Oregon is getting Purdue safety Dylan Thieneman. And then probably other big news, USC quarterback Miller Moss transferring to Louisville. Again, there's going to be a lot more that we hear. Oh, I just saw another one. Jackson Arnold, quarterback for Oklahoma, is transferring to Auburn. So a lot of big names on the move. I think it's good for college football. Because one thing I've always thought was, these teams transfer for coaches. Coaches aren't loyal. And so that's one of the big reasons why I appreciate the transfer portal. And seeing and just watching college football just kind of evolve is very nice too. But that is our wrap up of college football. Now we'll go on to the NFL. So a lot of fun games that happened last week. First one, we'll talk about the Rams and 49ers. Battle of the kickers. No touchdown scored. The Rams getting the win 12-6. And then we had the Sunday games. Ravens destroyed the Giants 35-14. In a very exciting game, the Jets beat the Jaguars 32-25, getting a touchdown, game-winning touchdown with like 40 seconds left. The Cowboys handled the Panthers 30-14. The Commanders survived the Saints 20-19. The Bengals survived the Titans 37-27. The Chiefs beat the Browns 21-7. The Texans beat the Dolphins 20-12. Broncos beat the Colts 31-13. Cardinals beat the Patriots 30-17. Bills beat the Lions in a potential Super Bowl matchup 48-42. Buccaneers torched the Chargers 40-17. Eagles beat the Steelers 27-13. Packers beat the Seahawks in that Sunday night game 30-13. And then our two Monday night games, the Vikings beat the Bears 30-12. Falcons beat the Raiders 15-9. So some pretty fun matchup there. It's pretty exciting games happening. As I bring in Tato. Come on, Mouse. Where are you, Mouse? There we go. Tato, how's it going?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I like the new setup that you have.
Thank you.
Although whenever we play Fortnite, I really enjoy not only being able to see my TV, but also being able to see your TV. So we're going to have to fix that.
I don't know, man. Maybe we'll figure it out. So science.
We'll talk about it.
Science.
Yes. Any thoughts on the week that was the NFL?
Not a ton. I mean, like, have the weeks in the NFL actually been different? Because from my end, it's kind of just been the same thing for two and a half months.
Yeah, just been a long streak of. See, it's
Long
funny.
dark tea time of the soul.
You've had a losing streak. I've had a winning streak. You can kind of tell just by our attitudes right now. It's hysterical. But what everyone is dying to know, Tato, you and I were different on 3 games last week. No one went 3-0. One person got 2 right. One person got 1 right.
Yeah.
The person getting 2 right was me. I had the Rams and the Cowboys both winning. You did stop the bleeding a little bit by picking the Packers, but I had a overall week of 13-3. You had a really good week, 12-4. But that brings our totals. I'm at 152.72. You're at 148.76. So I stopped my bleeding because you have been coming back as of late. So I kind of was able to slow that down, but maintain a 4-point lead as we go on to the next week. Some kind of decent news. A lot of players are having season-ending surgery or rehab for injuries. Nothing major because they're all on teams that suck right now. But there is news about one team in particular, one team that's currently in first place in the entire NFL, and that's the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes did go down last Sunday against the Browns with a high ankle sprain. They said it was a very minor sprain. Chiefs health medical staff, and so they said it's not major. He is listed as day-to-day, so he might play this Sunday or this Saturday. He might not. We don't know. Their backup quarterback is Carson Wentz, so I think they should sit him because Carson is amazing. But that's just me. Tato, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think Patrick will probably play, but I mean, it'd be totally reasonable for him to sit too. We'll see how that happens. And I'll also point out that the Lions are pretty good at football, and they lost David Montgomery for the season.
With the Lions, they lost quite a bit. I don't remember exact names, but a couple starters, mainly at cornerback. On the defense, they did lose at least 3 players to season-ending injuries, and then David Montgomery also out for the season with a knee injury. And then other news out of the Falcons, Kirk Cousins to the bench. Michael Penix is starting this Sunday. Tato, did I call it or what? Actually, I don't think I ever called it.
It's Penix time.
I think I called like a couple of games where I'm like, the crowd's gonna start chanting for him. But he is set to start for the Falcons, which Falcons have had a 4-game losing streak. They were in solid position to win their division, and they just blew it all away. As they are now in second place and trying to get a wild card spot. You can still win the division, but it's going to be tough. They got to do some turning around. And then we have had some changes as far as the playoffs go. Nothing, or as far as AFC goes, we haven't had anybody eliminated yet, or anybody new eliminated. We still have the same teams. But we have had the Pittsburgh Steelers clinching a playoff spot, even though they lost to the Eagles. They did clinch a playoff spot. We will see them after Week 18. And then the Houston Texans, they did clinch the AFC South division. They are division champs once again. The Indianapolis Colts cannot catch up and get the division. They can only hope for a wild card spot, as Houston is division champs. And then as far as the NFC goes, the Minnesota Vikings have clinched a playoff spot. Still fighting with Detroit in the division, which right now they are tied record-wise. But Detroit does currently hold a tiebreaker as they beat them. And then we did have two teams eliminated from playoff contention, your Chicago Bears and the Carolina Panthers. Both seasons will be over. Not really fighting for much, but hopefully going to play some spoiler. All right, Tato, are you ready for our week 16 predictions?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right. So then, our first game we will talk about Thursday night, the Broncos traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers. Both teams fighting for a wild card spot as neither team can win the division. Right now, the Chargers are 3-point favorites. I'm gonna go first on this one. I find the Chargers a very weird team because we can be very high on the Chargers, we can be very low on the Chargers, and it's like whatever we are, they do the exact opposite of. Last week we were both very high on the Chargers. We thought that they would handle the Buccaneers pretty easily, and they just kind of rolled over and let the Buccaneers pillage everything that they could. I do think this is going to be a fun one. I like Bo Nix a little more than I like Justin Herbert. I have the Broncos winning. Tato, what about you?
Bo Nix is trash. Papa Jacob, that's your name sometimes.
Sometimes.
I'm going with the Chargers.
I know I've said Bo Nix is trash, and I will forever hold that thought in my heart. But sometimes I will let it shine a little brighter than other times. Right now, I'm not letting it shine because he's been playing really well. You have to respect what he has been doing. All right. Next, we have two Saturday games. The first one, the Texans are traveling to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. Chiefs are 3.5-point favorites. This will have implications as far as first round bye goes, but not much because both teams are in the playoffs. Both teams win the division. But Tato, what are your thoughts on this one?
Let's see here. What are my thoughts on this one? Oh yeah, the Chiefs. What do you know? That's weird.
It's like you pick them every single week. You know who has not picked the Chiefs every single week? This guy. But that being said, I don't think it I think it doesn't really matter who plays at quarterback. Chiefs are very good at football. Texans have been kind of like the Chargers, very high, very low. And I think just traveling to Kansas City is going to be a struggle for them. I have the Chiefs winning as well. Next, our second game on Saturday, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. I believe if the Steelers win, they win the division. Ravens have to win and then have to have a couple other things go their way before the division, but they could clinch a playoff spot with a win. Ravens are 6-point favorites. I'm going to go first on this one. I think the Steelers are pretty beat up after that game against Philadelphia, and I think the Ravens are riding really high. This game's in Baltimore, which is huge for the Ravens. I have the Ravens coming out on top and getting the win. Tato, what about you?
I will concur with you on that one, Baltimore.
All right.
I'm sorry. Did you take the Chiefs?
Yes, I did take the Chiefs.
Okay, sorry. Just looking at something else and shit.
Oh, hey, it's Alan Shepard. He's in the comments.
Spaceman!
Papa and Tato. So I am I have my laptop on the couch, which is like a good 4 or 5 feet to my right. And I saw that we had a notification about someone in the comments. And I'm like, who's in the comments? I'm gonna click on it and see. It's Alan. Hi, Alan. Great to see you. Glad to see you in the comments. But yeah, no. So we so far we've gone the same on the last two. We're different on the Broncos Chargers game.
Yes.
All right. Next we have the Sunday games. The first one, Philadelphia is traveling to Washington to take on the Commanders. I believe Philadelphia wins this game. They win the division. Washington still has a chance at the division, but also fighting for a playoff spot. Philadelphia is a 3.5-point favorite. Tato, what's your pick on this one?
I will pick the Philadelphia Eagles.
Good man. Good man. I am in the same boat. I am also going to pick the Eagles. We saw the Commanders almost losing to the Saints, which Saints have been really horrible as of late. So just struggling to put away teams. We know the Cliff Kingsbury offense tends to struggle at the end of the year. And you know what's not struggling? The Eagles offense. So I think the Eagles come out with the win and the division as well. Next, we have the Rams traveling to New Jersey to take on the Jets. Rams are 3-point favorites. Rams fighting for the division, fighting for a playoff spot. The Jets fighting for nothing. And if you have a team fighting for something, generally they come out on top. And they're going to score a couple touchdowns in this game. I have the Rams winning.
That was my precise line of thinking.
All right. Even the couple touchdowns?
Yeah, why not?
All right. Next we have the Giants are traveling to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. Falcons, obviously, we talked about it. Michael Penix is making your start today, or not today, but on Sunday. Falcons trying to fight for the division, trying to fight for a playoff spot. Cowboys have been eliminated for a couple weeks now. Tato, what's your thought on this? Our Falcons are 8.5-point favorites, even with the rookie starting. Tato, what's your thoughts on this one?
I will go with the Falcons. Go, Michael Penix.
Yeah, I think you could put Timmy from South Park in at quarterback, and he would lead whatever team to victory over the Giants. I have Michael Penix coming out on top after his first career start in the NFL. Probably going to turn something around, but then they're not going to win the division. Falcons winning as well. All right, next we have the Cardinals traveling to Carolina to take on the Panthers. Arizona's fighting for the division. Carolina is eliminated from the playoffs. Cardinals are 5-point favorites. I'm going to go first on this one. I don't like this Cardinals team, but I also don't like this Panthers team. And because I have to pick one to win, I'm going to go with the better defense, and that is the Cardinals. Tato, what's your pick on this one?
Let me double check if I agree with that. Yes, I do. Not a delight.
In agreement still. All right, Tato. Next, we have the Browns traveling to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. Bengals fighting for their playoff lives right now. I believe they have to win out, and there's 3 teams that have to lose like 2 of 3 of the last 3 games for them to have a shot. But they have to win out. They have the Browns. They are 7.5-point favorites at home, which might remind you they are 1-5 at home right now. Tato, you're going first on this one. What's your thoughts and why?
I will go with the Bengals, despite not being very good at home. The Browns are not very good at all. So, Bengals.
So I'm in a fantasy league where we started playoffs last week, and I had a first round bye. And so I'm going into this game, and one of my quarterbacks is Joe Burrow. I have Joe Burrow and Jared Goff. And I think I'm going to sit Joe Burrow because he scares me sometimes. And while, yes, I think he's going to have a really good game, I think he's going to have a lot of turnovers. And I think the Bengals barely get the win against the Browns. I think they do go 2-5 at home, but it's going to be a close one. I have the Bengals also. Next, we have the Titans traveling to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. Colts are 3.5-point favorites, fighting for a playoff spot. They're one of the teams that Cincinnati needs to lose. I think they just have to lose one of their upcoming games for Cincinnati to get the jump on them. Fortunately for Cincinnati, the Colts tend to choke. Unfortunately, though, they are playing the Titans, who are a very bad team. I think the Colts, it's going to be a fun running game for both teams with Tony Pollard and Jonathan Taylor. But I think the Colts do come out on top and get the win. Tato, what are your thoughts?
Yep, Titans bad at football. I'll say Colts get the W.
All right. Next, we have the Lions traveling to Chicago to take on the Bears. Bears just eliminated, but Lions are playing for the division, playing for that first round bye. Lions currently 6.5-point favorites. Tato, I hate to make you go first on this one, but on the round robin rules of how we pick games, it is your turn to go first. Who do you have?
I think it's bananas that they only have 6.5 points. I'll take the Lions. They may be starting their practice squad, but I mean, have the Bears proven they can beat a practice squad?
No, not yet. Well, yes, the Lions losing David Montgomery is huge. They still have Jahmyr Gibbs. They have that very explosive offense that he is a very important part of, but he is not the only part of. I do think the Lions come out on top and get the win. Next, we have the Vikings traveling to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Vikings are 3-point favorites. And Tato, we've been calling for it all year long. This pumpkin watch for Sam Darnold, and it hasn't happened yet. Does it happen? Does it happen this week? I don't think so. I think Sam Darnold has a decent game against the Seahawks. Also crazy, it's in Seattle. The Seahawks are 3-5 at home. They're usually unstoppable at home, and they've been very bad at home. I think the Vikings get the win. What about you?
Yep, I got the Vikings there because why not?
I mean that's good enough. Good enough reason for anything, I guess.
Yeah, no, I think the Vikings make the first round of the playoffs, and then that's my logic.
That's when we get pumpkin watch.
Get one and done in the playoffs by Daniel Jones or something like that.
Yeah. Well, he's on the team, so maybe.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough for it to be that exact Daniel Jones, but there's another Daniel Jones coming around.
What he could do is he could Nancy Kerrigan Sam Darnold, just take out his knee, and then Daniel Jones starts that game. And Daniel Jones is the reason the Vikings are one and done in the playoffs. I see your logic. I see how it's going to happen. But next we have the New England Patriots traveling to Buffalo to take on the Bills. Bills are 14-point favorites. Hopeful for that first round bye. They are 2 games behind the Chiefs. Are you going first on this one? Yep, you're going first on this one. Not that it's going to be hard at all.
Bills. Bill.
How did I know? I think it's going to be a little bit closer, but it's going to be like a 10-point game. Still 2 possession. I do think that the Bills handle the Patriots pretty easily, which is crazy to say because like 5 years ago, the Bills couldn't do anything against the Patriots. All right, next we have the Toilet Bowl. The Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. Loser has a better draft pick, but right now the Raiders are 1.5-point favorites. I'm going to go first on this one. Both these teams are horrible. The fact that it's a 1.5-point spread, that's too much. It should just be a half-point spread. But it's what backup quarterback do you trust more, Mac Jones or Desmond Ridder? And I like Jacksonville's run game a little more. I'm going to go with the Jags getting the win. Tato, who do you got?
Alrighty, I went with the doo-doo dog water team that would be playing in their home stadium. That was all that one was. I'll take the Raiders.
All right, going with the Raiders. It was a coin flip either way. Next, we have the 49ers traveling to Miami to take on the Dolphins. Dolphins are 1-point favorites, but both of these teams are fighting for a playoff spot. I believe both these teams, if they lose, they're out. If they win, not guaranteed anything, but definitely have a better chance than if they lose. Tato, who's your pick on this one?
I'm going with Miami here. Just because fuck the 49ers, man. They've just been nothing but good. They've been horrible to me lately. Mike Shanahan is your fantasy team, and Kyle Shanahan hates your picks.
Yeah. Well, because you didn't pick them, they're going to win. And that's why I'm picking the 49ers. Brock Purdy is trying to get a contract extension. This year hasn't been going the way he's wanting it to, but they are not dead yet. I think they have a great game against Miami. I like that defense against the Dolphins a little bit more. I think I have the 49ers coming out on top and getting the win. As we go to our Sunday night game, the Buccaneers are traveling to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. Buccaneers are 4-point favorites. Dallas, they lose. They are probably out. Buccaneers trying to clinch the division. This win doesn't clinch it, but it gets them a lot closer. I believe if they win and Atlanta loses, they do, but they have to win this game regardless. I'm going first. It's in Dallas, and the Cowboys can't win at home. They got lucky against the Giants. The Buccaneers have been on fire as of late. I think the Buccaneers torch the Cowboys and just burn Cowboy Stadium to the ground. Tato, what's your pick?
And yeah, it's been done a few times this year. I think it happens again. Baker Mayfield, your Kirk Cousins of the year.
I was hearing, I don't remember who it was, but someone's like, Baker Mayfield needs to be an MVP conversation. Like he can't win it, but he at least needs to be like in the top 5 for voting. And I thought about him like, yeah, he has definitely been playing like an MVP as of late. Next, we have our Sunday night game, or our Monday night game. The Saints are traveling to Green Bay to take on the Packers. Packers are 14.5-point favorites. Why this game wasn't flexed to Sunday morning, I don't know. But hey, what are you going to do other than watch one really good team versus one really bad team? Tato, you are going first on this one.
Yep, not wearing green and yellow because I love the Packers, but I look good in any color I choose. But I will pick the Packers under this circumstance.
Yeah, it's one of those, I know you hate doing it, but at
Yep.
the same time, when they're playing the Saints, you kind of have to do it. I think the Saints got lucky that Washington kind of disappeared in that second half. But luck is not going to be on their side. The Packers are just too good. Plus, it's in Green Bay. Saints don't play well in the cold. I think Spencer Rattler's making the start. He's never played a game in the cold in his life, so it's going to show. I think the Packers handle the Saints very easily and walk out with the win. But that has been our predictions for whatever week that was. That's the wrong thing. Week 16 of the NFL, as we are nearing the end. 3 more weeks, and then we talk playoffs. Playoffs? What you talking about playoffs? But thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, throw out a comment. Comment below what team is going to be eliminated from playoff contention next. One of the teams that can be eliminated, because there's probably going to be a handful of teams eliminated from the playoffs this week. Please like us on Facebook, subscribe, follow Lights Out Trivia on YouTube, because Tato's in the middle of some fun stuff. Make smart choices. Be nice to people or don't, because I really don't care. I'm not your dad. But I could be your papa. As I click the end.